Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eduardo Del Boy again with Bettina Clark from Introspections. Today, we're going to be discussing an excellent article by Bettina called Awe, A-W-E. And I want to ask Bettina to give us a short introduction into the topic, and then we'll have a discussion. Bettina?
Yeah, Eduardo, so interesting. When we are writing about these articles, sometimes things arise in us. And that happened to me with awe. I realized that awe had a complete different dimension thousands of years ago. Ehrfurcht in German, this, this, whatever happens to us when something opens up was so much more intense, seemingly. And yet we have this possibility nowadays to be in awe when we see cathedrals, for example. There's the mastery of architecture behind it, or even in small moments in life, like this one moment when I wrote this article, I saw the sun peeking behind trees, rising, and I thought to myself, oh, this moment I need to just be still. And so I also realized that awe is pause nowadays. Pause, simple pause. So of course I'm interested in our dialogues. Were there moments of awe in your life that struck you, or perhaps even changed your consciousness?
There were. I'm thinking of one right now, which is the birth of my son.
Hmm.
I was there for the birth. I witnessed it. I helped out. And as I saw him being born, I was just overwhelmed by not the feeling of responsibility, but by the feeling of connection.
Hmm.
That here was part of me coming into being, and this was not part of me because it was a totally separate consciousness. And my responsibilities, as well as my pleasure of being a father, my responsibilities. But to see the birth process of your child, and of course, men are not mothers. Men don't go through the whole bonding process that takes place during the 9 months of gestation. But what men do is when the baby is born, that's the moment of connection. That's the moment where you feel part of you, an external part of you coming into being. And that is the wonder of life and the
Hmm.
wonder of spirituality in the sense that you have created this life with someone else, and this life is coming into being with its own spirit, with its own creativity, with its own knowledge and its own knowing. And that particular moment is an explosion of emotion, but also an explosion of peace, that things are happening just the way they're supposed to happen.
So interesting. When you said it's a moment of peace, and we all know what is going on when there is birth taking place. There's
Mhm.
screaming and shouting and pain and I don't know, suffering, and then there's joy and happiness. And yes, interesting. Even in that process, there can be a peaceful moment of awe.
Mhm.
Interesting. You stimulated a complete new thought in me about this. And I'm really thinking also about how is that. I mean, my question was, did it change your consciousness? Maybe it was this moment of understanding, of true experience. It's not an understanding, it's this experience that uh, we are connected. So I got,
Mhm.
we are connected in a very special way, although it's a different being.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you for that moment, because that's a moment many of us can actually experience if we have an opportunity and a chance to do so. Very powerful. Thank you. Do you want to add anything? I was just interestingly,
No,
there
I
was
want to ask you, what was your moment of awe?
um it was when I was in Indonesia. I was maybe 24, 25 years old for 2.5 months backpacking with three guys. one of which was this geologist collecting. And so he took us on the tour because he did some scientific research, and we climbed the Merapi mountain on Sumatra. It was a day tour, very early in the morning with a tour guide. And we arrived on top with a camera. At the time, we had still a 16 millimeter camera, not digital. And I was filming, I was exhausted and everything and so on. And I didn't see, and we didn't realize because we were so tired that this Merapi started bubbling. It was spitting. And so when we then left and came down, and we a couple of days later, we were a little bit further away from the volcano, and I then only realized when I looked at this volcano that I was up there an entire day. It took us to go up there, that I actually could do that, but I was in a space of it's like almost like a trance when you're exhausted. I realized I can actually do far more than I thought I could. The same thing happened to me also climbing a mountain, the Wilde Kaiser in Austria, where I froze for a moment and I couldn't continue walking. And then somebody came my way, and I had to move because this person couldn't pass by me. I moved. I did this one step over a very steep, what is Schlucht, whatever the word is in English.
Cliff.
Cliff, thank you. And when I then continued walking to the top, I was walking a couple of centimeters above ground because I had this moment of, wow, I had no idea I can do more than I thought. And this for me is awe. It's not the spiritual awe, but it's the awe of understanding or knowing that you can do more than you thought you could.
But I'd say that is also spiritual. Your spirit, your soul, your intuition is telling you, yes, you can, the way the Nike commercial says. Yes, you can. And that's a very important thing to do. The same thing happened to me when I wrote the song Somos Peru that I mentioned in a previous video cast. When the song came out, I didn't know where it came from. But all of a sudden it was there, and the melody, the lyrics were just what I loved. And to me, they filled me with a tremendous sense of awe, of satisfaction, because they came out of a place inside of myself I didn't know. And that led me even more to look at spiritualism, to what is the cause of my creativity, where does it come from, and how do I generate it?
Well, I get exactly what you're saying. Me being a sculptor, these moments when you have a lump of clay in your hand and you just start molding it, and suddenly something comes out of it, and you say, wait a minute, this was me doing this. There's a sculpture sitting behind me here. I would like to actually come back to this physical possibility, or this physical strength and power that we have. And the Olympics just opened. I was actually looking at also Celine Dion singing, and we all know she has a problem right now, and she's very, very limited. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is awe for me. How she could master and overcome her limitations through something that she loves so incredibly deeply. And she's so connected with her, I would say, soul's task. This is it. This is what she was supposed to do, to take us also in her songs with her and so on. So for me, this was the highlight, not of the whole ceremony, but for me in her life. I watched the movie and I thought, wow, what a role model. Also in context, now we've closed the circle, sports, creativity, your soul speaking. Yeah, you name it. Yes, it is a spiritual experience, but it is, when I said it is not, I meant it is not perceived as such.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the inauguration of the Olympics because I was overawed not only by Celine Dion, who touched me deeply, but by the whole creation.
Mhm.
Who
Also,
conceived
yes.
of
Amazing.
using Paris as a backdrop, of using technology to bring culture from the past and make it alive? I mean, the statues moving, the paintings, people in the paintings by the window. Who conceived of that? Where did that creativity come from? And I think that was a marvelous example of people's creativity, people's souls using material objects like the city, like music, like dance, like the river, and creating something that was beyond comprehension, completely outside of the box. Like you said the other day, Einstein, you're not going to get anywhere if you do the same thing in the same ways. Well, the people in France and people in Paris came up with something such so totally different. It was brilliant and it was awe-inspiring.
Yes. And it was a masterpiece of collective creativity.
Mhm.
And then we're going back to knowing and knowledge, because so many people were involved. The 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 sphere of thinking expanded to a huge sphere of possibility. And then, of course, they needed to see how to realize all of this. Thank you. Yeah, that was a thank you for that example. Yes, it is awe-inspiring. Absolutely. The artists themselves, how they were surviving in the rain, how they were
Yes.
in their space of the dancer on the roof, the singer, the opera singer. Um, Everybody was just standing there and said, "This is part that is very, very important now, and I, no matter whether it's raining or not, I do my
Mhm.
thing."
Well, they were in there now.
They were there now. Yes, that's it.
That's the brilliant thing, and that's what I
Yeah.
really appreciated from your article was how you captured that feeling of awe and how you explained it. Would you like
Mm.
to add anything else before we end?
We touched a lot of things. Thank you very much. It's very inspiring to be in this dialogue after we write our articles, because one thing is being in the space of writing, and the other one is exploring again in a dialogue. I realize again and again how important that is, because it's different.
It stimulates us
Mhm.
to go off in different directions we never even dreamt of. Bettina, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed our conversation and the article, I would invite you to ask your friends to subscribe, to join us, and to give us their comments. Give us your comments. Until the next time, ciao for now.